The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Vanish from WSI ALM, welcoming you to our Launchpad edition for the 9th of December, getting ever close to Christmas time. So hope everybody's got their Christmas lists and their shopping lists all ready to go. If you're not one of those proper guys and have done your shopping already. I'm also joined by my colleague Armando Alas.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Definitely a pleasure to be here this morning, and I look forward to an exciting webinar today, as well as kind of giving a couple of hints that hopefully in the new year we'll be making some amazing revisions and having new guest speakers in the webinar, so that way we could continue to provide you with the latest information as well as trends on what's happening in our digital world.
Awesome, good stuff. Bob just sent a message on being the first production center to be inbound certified. Thanks so much, Bob. Appreciate it. Yeah, we didn't cut corners here on this one. We just decided to get an expert. So we actually hired a person that's done HubSpot inbound marketing through HubSpot for a bit. She's got over 40 or 45 projects under her belt, and she's the one that kind of spearheaded the entire certification for our side. Her name's Maria. So for any of your clients that are potentially interested in a HubSpot solution, she's going to be definitely, you'd be interacting a lot with her. Very excited about it. There's a formalized launch that's going to take place with all our pricing and our packages that WSI is coordinating right now. We have a call tomorrow with the team at WSI as well as HubSpot. So we'll keep you posted on that progress. All right, so just moving on here with regards to our format for our LaunchPad webinar series. The usual format, we'll start off with some latest news and articles, and then Armando's lined up another fantastic sales tip for the week. I saw a quick preview of the 2 slides that he's put together. There's a lot of good information in there, so you definitely don't want to miss it. And then we'll finish off, wrap up with a Q&A session towards the end of this webinar. Great. So let's dive right in. So the first news that we wanted to share with you this week was with relations to Facebook search. So Facebook search has been on the wish list for a lot of the marketers for the longest time. They've been requesting Facebook to come up with a robust search application where people can go in, they can search posts, archive posts, previous posts, and really kind of dive and dig right into the history so that they can sort of like plan the marketing activity around some of the trends that are taking place in Facebook. And this was on the wish list for the longest time. So Facebook search finally sort of like become a little more robust, and it now lets you search for posts. Now there are some restrictions where the results in your Facebook search are going to be personalized and unique to each user, because the way that they're collating Facebook search is that they'll be looking at posts put up by your friends, your pages, or people that you have connections with, and the closer the connection, the higher that result's going to be appearing in your Facebook search results. So this is a change that's recently happened. They did launch a previous version of Facebook search which wasn't as good, was not well received. Hopefully this one's better received. And the other interesting thing to note is that it does not allow you to search other people's posts that are not associated with your profile whatsoever. However, you can search via hashtags. So if you put in hashtags around a specific topic, then you'd be able to look up the information. Excuse me. So this is a new feature that's been launched by Facebook, much in demand. We'll again keep you posted on what the reviews are for this feature, but definitely suggest you go ahead, try it out. It's accessible in your profile, so when you log into Facebook, you can see the search icon there, and then go ahead, give it a shot, try it out, and it's going to be a really useful tool for marketers to try and dig down, establish trends, identify trends, and base their strategies and marketing decisions on what they're observing. All right, so the second article that we wanted to share this week was a really cool local site audit that was showcased on Search Engine Land, one of our favorite sites to look for information. This whole article essentially revolves around doing a really quick local site audit shouldn't be taking more than 6 or 8 minutes. That's how this author's kind of really put all of this information together. And even if you're sitting in the client's office, this is a really quick audit that you can actually do with the client right in their office itself. So you know, a lot of the instances where you're not hoping to make a really great connection, but you actually do when you have your initial prospect meeting. And sure, you'll have your web scan with you. You'll have some information about the prospect with you, but the prospect wants to try and get a sense of your knowledge and your information. Here's an opportunity to impress them by doing these quick things right in their office itself, and that establishes your credibility, your expertise in this domain that you're servicing, which is digital marketing, and also gives that confidence to the prospect when they're dealing with you in terms of doing business with you. So I wanted to take you through this local site audit today, and hopefully you can utilize it in one of your prospect or client meetings. All right. So the link to this article is in our presentation as well. It's Search Engine Land, Close Clients Quick Local Site Audit, right? And this was done by Greg Gifford. He'd actually written another article a couple of months back on Search Engine Land with regards to local SEO, which is also very well received. And then he followed it up with this particular article. So he starts off by saying that the first thing that you do is to review the on-page elements. So when you're sitting there in your client's office and the client opens up their website, the first thing that you can basically do is look at the on-page elements. Takes about a couple of minutes or so. You look at their title tag, you look at their H1 tag, you look at the content, does the site have enough content or not, look at their alt text, does the image have an alt text associated with it, and the NAP. Do all the pages have the name, address, and telephone number that are present on the pages, right? So, and for the ones that are not familiar on how to check this, all you have to do is just go to the page. So let's say I'm on this page right now. All I'll do is I'll do a right click, and I'm going to click on this thing called View Page Source, right? I apologize if this is too basic in terms of the information, but just so that everybody's on the same page. So all you do whenever you want to look at the source code for a particular page, because that's where you can see a lot of these elements, the title tag and the heading tag, etc. All you have to do is go on the page and just right click your mouse, and then click, all these options are going to appear, and then what you do is you click View Page Source. And it actually opens up the source code for this page. You can click on the icon, you can maximize the source code, right? And then if you want to, because you might have a bunch of code in here, and if you want to straight away go to the title, all you do is a Control F, click on title, and there you go. So you're seeing all these titles coming up here. You can also see things like, look, they're using the Yoast WordPress SEO plugin. So this is intelligence that you can get right from the source code itself. And you can use this information to impress your client with some preliminary information so they know what you're talking about, right? And first impressions, it's all about first impressions. So you can tell them the fact that, look, they're using the Yoast WordPress SEO plugin, which is a recommended plugin for WordPress when it comes to SEO. The title of this page is optimized. It's this title right here, Close More Clients with a Quick Local Site Audit, right? And this is their entire meta tag right here. So they're using markups, schema markups. You can see all this information. And then if you want to see if they have any alt text, same thing. Just go in and type in alt, and then just check if there's any alt text associated with any of the images. Like for example here, they are using the alt text Search Engine Land. That's how you can really quickly check and see if the on-page elements are all there or not, and give the client feedback, the prospect feedback right away in the meeting. The second thing that you do is you can spot check their citations and see how consistently they're being registered in the citations. So there's Moz Local that the author suggests, right? There's a bunch of other places where you can do this in as well. The author suggests Moz Local. You can click on this link, and it's going to open up Moz Local for you, right? So you type in a business name. So let's just use a business name, for example, Media Management, one of our clients actually, Media Management Group. They're based out of New York. I think their code is 11222. Let's just check. And it's going to run a quick listing for you. Let's see. Yep, it's this one right here, Media Management Group, 303 Fifth Avenue, New York. That's them. So you can go to Moz Local, and then you can just do a quick search for that particular business, and then this is going to populate the information and give you a current score. There you go. So the company name is Media Management Group. It's 303 Fifth Avenue in New York. This is their website, and it gives you a percentage. So their current score is about 60%. Get it to 86%, improve with Moz Local. So it actually, that's where the tool comes in and the functionality comes in. And it gives you really quick feedback on what's potentially set up properly and what's not, right? So over here you can see, and now this tool's not 100% accurate because at times there is a bit of a challenge in terms of pulling the listing. But that's okay. I mean, you can at least get a sense or an idea of what your client's listing is all about. So Google says it's at 96%, Foursquare's at about 89%. Facebook and Superpages, they have been able to identify. Info Groups complete. Localese is about 70%. Yellow Pages is 67%. Factual, another database, is 83%. Yahoo's 95%. Bing's 80%. HotFrog and Axiom database, right? Now, this was a client that was having some challenges with regards to suite numbers, and then we had to go in and we've started a cleanup effort now for them because they had some challenges with regards to the consistency with the name, address, and telephone number because they'd moved and there was a suite number that was added on to their address. So this sort of like gives you a very quick snapshot of the amount of work that needs to be done when it comes to local. And this is what you can share with your clients right there in their office, saying, look, you're at 30% or 40% in your current score, and there's so much work that needs to be done with regards to your local listings. But don't worry, here's what we recommend for you. Here's the package that we have. Right, so that's the next thing that you which is to check their citations utilizing Moz Local. Right. The other thing that you do is you can also look at the inbound link profile really quickly. So you go to tools like Open Site Explorer. So again, the basic version is accessible, so you can just run the basic version for the tool. You just type in the URL, and it's going to give you a sort of like a listing. So if I just do run the listing for the same website that we just checked. So you type in the URL in Open Site Explorer, click on their search, and you'll see that the basic stats like their domain authority, their page authority, and their established links comes up over here, right? So if they have a low domain authority, anything below 20 or 25 is pretty low. And the domain authority is strictly guided by the quality and the quantity of links that are coming in to a particular website. And if the domain authority is low, then here's another opportunity for you to educate them on the fact that here's an opportunity where look at your competitors and look at yourself, so you can do sort of like a comparison and show the client as to how their competitors are ranking with regards to their inbound link profile, and then there's an opportunity to do better with regards to the inbound link profile as well. So that's another way to showcase the client as to what their link profile is all about, and then identify opportunities with regards to their link profiles, right? You can also check Google My Business. I'm getting a question here, so let me just take this question really quickly. Just because we're in this particular article right now, so I want to address it right away. So Bob has a question with regards to suite numbers. Are suite numbers good or bad for SEO? If they have several businesses in the same building, shall they have unique suite numbers, or Google wants an entirely different street address number? So this has been debated fairly extensively, Bob, and Google's now become sophisticated to the extent where if you do have different suite numbers, it's okay. It can identify that with a business and give it credit because they do understand that people operate out of business centers. The challenge becomes especially more tricky, especially in the case of real estate agents and businesses of that nature, where they potentially even share suite numbers, right? Because they share offices, right? So that's where the challenge becomes a little more intense. But there's ways to go about it. There's different tactics that you can utilize. But to answer your question, yes, Google's become pretty smart in terms of identifying suite numbers with regards to local optimization. I mean, the best thing is for a client to have their own address and their own listing. It's nice and neat and clean. But if you do need to have a suite number, Google can understand that. Check out their Google My Business page. Again, just go to their Google My Business page, check if the listing's been claimed or been verified, are the categories selected properly, is there a proper written description, is there NAP consistency, the name, address, and telephone number, does it match with what's on Google My Business and their actual website? So that's another thing that you want to look at. Check their social media profiles. So again, do they have social media profiles that are linked into their website? So can you click on their Google, Facebook icons and go to their social media properties or not? So that's another thing that you need to check, right? Like for example, here's an icon for search engine land, and you can click on any of their social media profiles and it's going to take you to their profiles. So do you have that sort of linkage with this particular website or not? Is something that you can check relatively quickly while in the client's office itself. And then give them some feedback even on their social media profiles there, right? How frequently are they posting? How many fans do they have? Are there any opportunities with their social media? Most likely you will definitely have opportunities in social media. The people don't necessarily focus a lot on that aspect, so you should have a lot of opportunities there. Check Yelp. Again, Yelp's very important from a local business perspective just because it's over the years become such an important directory. There's tons of businesses that are listed out there, and more importantly because of the reviews that are associated with your business. You might not realize it, but negative reviews on your Yelp listing might be killing a lot of business for you because people are definitely a lot more savvy in terms of their shopping experience or in terms of interacting with businesses. And obviously if you have a bad reputation on sites like Yelp, that's not going to help new customers come on board and engage with you. And that's probably where the bottleneck is. If your leads have potentially dropped in the recent past, or you aren't engaging as many customers as you were previously, if your business is very, very customer centric. So it's a good opportunity to just check Yelp, make sure there's no reputation management issues that are associated with your business or your profile. And that's it. So in these 6 points, each point can take you anywhere from like, a couple of minutes or so, but a lot of discussion items can come out of these points when you're reviewing each of these 6 points. And these discussion items can easily take you into a 20, 30, 40-minute discussion with your client. So 2 benefits out of it. One, you're establishing credibility and your expertise with the client right away, showing them that you definitely know your stuff. And this is a pretty good in-depth quick check, sort of a quick audit that you're doing with them. And 2, you're potentially engaging the client in these 6 areas where there's opportunities and opening doors for yourself. So 2 quick benefits of doing these audits, and as the author correctly suggests, I mean, for you to pull this information while you're sitting in the client's office, it should not take you more than 7 or 8 minutes. Each of these points, very, very quickly, you can establish information associated with all these different points. So great article that we wanted to share with you. So hopefully some of you can utilize it in your prospect meetings and give us some feedback on how this went about. All right, so the next news item is to do with Google AdWords. So the Vice President of Product Management for AdWords, Jerry Dishler, is going to be hosting a 30-minute live stream to recap AdWords events for 2014. And he sort of like finished it off. Now, I don't know what to make of this. Was this like a little teaser to increase the number of people that actually sign up for his webinar, or is there something really juicy that's coming up from Google's end? But he did talk about the fact that there is an announcement that he's going to be coming up with that you definitely don't want to miss. So there's a little teaser that he put out there. And the webinar is taking place tomorrow. It's for 30 minutes. I think I have a link, yep, right here. So here's a link to sign up for this webinar. It's 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 12:30 Pacific Time, and this is the description for this particular webinar. And you see this little teaser that he puts in right in the end. Wrap up the year with an announcement you wouldn't want to miss. We'll think you'll like it. So very interesting, and Google's always coming up with some cool stuff. So it'd be interesting to see as to what sort of an announcement they have waiting for us tomorrow. So if anybody wants to sign on for this webinar, you can sign on utilizing this form. The link's also on our webinar presentation, but here's the link. Just put in your name, your company name, your email, and your Google AdWords customer ID if you have one, but that's not a mandatory field. If you don't have it, you can still sign up for this webinar. Right? We keep you posted, of course, on what this announcement was and covered in our next week's LaunchPad webinar. The other news item we wanted to share with you was with regards to US mobile search spends that are expected to overtake desktop next year itself. So this data is coming from eMarketer, where they're showcasing US mobile search ad spending as compared to desktop. And if you look at mobile search ad spending in 2015, you're basically looking at mobile being at about 50.1%. So or like 50% basically of total searches, digital marketing spends. So mobile is going to be taking 50% of the share of the digital search ad spending. And then if you keep looking at the statistic, it's only going up. So in 2018, mobile ad spending mobile search spend is looking at around 77%. So expect the whole industry to kind of like really be focusing on mobile, especially when it comes to data and analytics. Data and analytics is a huge issue when it comes to mobile. Mobile is not getting tracked that accurately, that properly, which is why the advertisers kind of like there's a gray area when it comes to mobile advertising. So hopefully, with this whole shift in dollars that's taking place in the next 2 or 3 years towards mobile, we can get some better tracking, some better analytics when it comes to what's really happening to our conversion rates and our ROI on mobile, which is a huge gray area right now that definitely needs a lot of work. Desktop, fantastic when it comes to tracking and ROI. Mobile, a little shaky. The other news item was the deal that Yahoo had done with Firefox. So as we reported in our webinar last week, I believe it was, where Yahoo had basically Firefox has ended their partnership with Google for some revenue sharing issues, and they had some issues, so they did not want to renew with Google, and Yahoo jumped onto that opportunity. So Yahoo became the default search engine for Firefox. As soon as if they've done that, within a week's time, the percentage share of people utilizing Yahoo as their main browser has gone up significantly. So Google used to be at about 82% of people that were on Firefox and utilizing the search engine. It has dropped to 63% now. Yahoo's gone from 9% all the way up to 30%. Bing's remain fairly consistent. But you can see the shift that's taking place over here. So, these tie-ups and these deals definitely help. And Yahoo's gained hugely with this particular deal that they've done with Firefox. As you can see, their shares jumped almost 20%, and this is only in a couple of weeks. And Google suffered. Their shares gone down by 20%, and I'm sure that's making a little bit of a dent when it comes to their overall search queries on a daily basis that they're interacting with, right? So interesting piece of information that came out by StatCounter, the global statistics company that are reporting on all the analytics. So definitely something to keep observing and seeing how Yahoo utilizes this increase in search share and what they do with it. Very interesting stuff. So there's some Cyber Monday and Black Friday information that we wanted to share with you. So there's more data that's coming out. It's still being processed because there's a lot of information that needs to be processed with regards to the spends that took place. But one of the things that came out that was reported by the company Kensho, based on their platform, was that they looked at the PLA spends. So one of the things that they reported was that the product listing ads got a huge bump, a huge increase in advertising dollars that were invested with PLAs, the product listing ads this year as compared to last year. So this was like a huge shift that took place. A lot more people spending money on product listing ads as compared to people that were spending money on product listing ads last year. So it's definitely gaining in popularity. And the conversion rates were the highest on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday. We were looking at an average of about 6%. The conversion rate for Cyber Monday was around 6%, the highest conversion rate across the board when you compare it with some of the other days, high converting days in 2014. So 6% was sort of like the average conversion rate that the retail companies were experiencing on Cyber Monday, which is a pretty good data. All right, so Sempo's opened their 10th annual State of Search and Digital Marketing Survey. We definitely encourage everybody to participate in this. Here's the link, so you can actually. This year they're actually doing it in coordination with Search Engine Land, and conducting the survey together, which is fantastic. Definitely, if you have an opportunity, fill out the survey. You're eligible to win a new iPad and a free all-access pass to the SMX West Conference in San Jose in March. So there's definitely an incentive there, which is great. And just besides the incentive, the more the people that participate in the State of Search survey, the more reliable the data and the information that comes out of it. They've always done a great job with regards to pointing the direction in which the industry is headed, so we can, as marketers, gear ourselves accordingly. So they've been doing it for about 10 years now. This is the 10th year that they're doing it. Here's the link to participate in it. This year they've actually tied up with Search Engine Land to do the survey, which should make it even more powerful when it comes to the data sets and the reporting that's going to be taking place. Great. So Armando, over to you.
Excellent, Manish. Thank you. Definitely some great stuff coming up through the different search engines and information. And I think that before I start today, talking about selling and buying, which is our topic, one of the things that I've noticed is increasingly not to forget as you're looking at 2015 and working with your clients, and perhaps you're doing your year-end recon or review of the campaigns, is also to begin to pitch responsive web design. Something very important that's happening. It's a big shift where now, as you know, Google is really taking that into consideration as a ranking factor. They haven't come out and said so, but just by using the different icons of mobile friendly and non-mobile friendly, that definitely tells you that. Just from our experience, as we're kind of working with some of our clients, we've noticed that there's been that increase in users of mobile and tablet, and typically we're kind of seeing the average of anywhere between 25 to 35% just alone this year an increase in usage. So as we go to 2015, if you have clients that they don't have responsive websites, definitely they don't necessarily. In many cases, there's a possibility that we can just use their existing site and make it responsive. It is a little bit more of a bit more expensive if you start from scratch, but if they don't want to start with a new website because they've invested so much in their existing website, I think about mobile. So I think about responsive. So it's one of those things that I'm really recommending ICs touch with their existing clients and new clients, because it's a key selling point for 2015. Excellent. So as I mentioned last week, based on my attendance to one of the Google's sales webinars about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, they came up with a whole model based on the book, The Trusted Advisor. Great book if you have a chance to pick it up. Overall, I mean, the book was written for the insurance industry, but the whole purpose of the book was to develop a trust-based relationship with your clients and how to get there. But anyhow, based on that foundation, they actually created a series called the Trusted Digital Media Advisor. I shared the link last week on. You can actually access some of the material on the YouTube on their YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you type in Trusted Digital Media Advisor, you get a lot of tidbits information. And the key thing about it that I actually liked about this program, and I was a little bit gung-ho about it, is because they actually, Google put some skin into the game and created a structure, a process, a system for their channel partners to sell obviously Google suite of services, so AdWords, display, advertising, remarketing. And the beautiful part about this workbook or this program they created is that it can be used across any of our services. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be used for PPC or paid search. It can also be used for adaptive SEO for traditional SEO. It can also be used even for web development, web implementation, web design. So it's really about the sales methodology, and it comes down to the trusted digital media advisor method. And one of the key methods that we discussed was really the difference between selling and buying. Again, I know that in attendance we have some ICs that come from a sales background, have a lot of experience, so this may sound a little bit like a recap, but I always like to go back to basics, because it's very important that sometimes when we are in our busy lives and going out there visiting prospects and doing IBAs, doing proposals, doing presentations, we always come back and we never have the time to really, you know, kind of evaluate what we've done, right? You know, give ourselves an evaluation of how well that meeting went, and what were the pros, the cons, where can we improve, or even wonder why we lost the deal, right? So one of the things that we discussed as part of one of the sessions was really the difference between selling and buying in digital marketing. Okay, in a world or in a space where you have your basement bobs, you have your SEO black cat users and deploy different tactics, we know that our industry has lacked that differentiation, and this is where we as WSI can become leaders in it. And part of it also has to do with the way we approach our clients, our prospects from the beginning. And I talked about last week about the relationship of a client agency or a client consultant relationship, that it's really about, if we're going to marry, it starts with dating. And part of dating is really understanding what your client needs are. And we've gone through that process of being sold ourselves. So there's a big difference between feeling, how do you feel when you're sold something versus how do you feel when you buy something. It's really about the psychological control of power, right? When you are sold something, you feel like you're powerless, like you've left the decision to somebody else to make it for you. Either you were pushed, you were pressured, you weren't given the right information. So there's a bit of a bad taste, and all of us have felt that when we buy anything that's, whether it's a car, whether it's a house, whether it's even a business, right? You want to make sure that you have made that decision. You bought something. You're in control. So there's a huge difference about it, right? So very important, when you are reviewing your notes, and after, let's say, you finish an IBA, kind of look back and say, okay, how am I going to approach this? How do I make it more, given the prospect more power, so they feel that they're buying into something versus I am selling something. So the best way to do this is really, it starts from the beginning. So it's even before the IBA, right? And here we have a graph of two different scenarios, a traditional sales call, right? And the time spent during that sales call. It could be a one sales call, it could be a three-part sales call. And then you have the better approach. So in the traditional sales call, basically you are looking at a scenario where you're asking not a lot of questions. You're kind of rushing through the process itself. So if you look at it, you're right after you finish your questions, you're going to pitching. So obviously there's a bit of a disconnect. And then what ends up happening is, as you're going through the pitching, if you look at this pyramid, your closing stage becomes longer, because there's a lot of loops, holes that have been left that now you have to fill in to make sure that you bring the close home. And even after you bring the close home, there's a lot of different things that your prospect may feel on their side that they may be unsure of, and maybe worry about that relationship. So if your client is left with that, that means that you, as a consultant, you won the sale, right? Because you have the contract, but you have not won a client. And now, in the next 3 months, you better prove to your new client that you can actually deliver, because now this 3 months you're actually closing them. And in many situations, it actually backfires because you haven't done your due diligence properly. You pretty much skipped through the process. Whereas in the actual better approach model, which is more of a consultative model, is really about asking questions and investing your time with your client, through doing a proper IBA, not a fast-track IBA, but a proper IBA, a meaningful IBA, understanding your client's needs, and we'll in the next slide we'll talk a little bit about that. But really spending the majority of your time asking questions and understanding your client. Okay, then the pitching, pretty much your presentation becomes, the same amount of time that you spend whether you're doing a traditional sales call. But the beautiful part about it is that as you're going through this process, you're leading and guiding your client. And for those of you that have taken any sales training, specifically Sandler training, for example, you're kind of leading your prospect to making a decision, to the decision-making process. And if you look at it, if you've done your job properly and you've asked the right questions, and in your pitch, your proposal, you're feeling that those needs, then the closing becomes easier and you spend less time on it. Okay, again, I know a lot of you out there know this, but it's really sometimes, kind of like a professional baseball player. After a whole 6-7 months of playing baseball, you go into you're kind of going down the stretch before the playoffs, and you're just hitting the ball just because you have to, because you've gone up to bat so many times. You just want to get the season over and get into the playoffs. So you start making mistakes. You start losing the eye or losing the goal of what you're really doing, and so you start batting. You start having a pretty bad batting average. So same thing here. As salespeople, sometimes we kind of just go into auto mode, and we truly forget about how to make it a meaningful acquisition of a client. Not how to make it a meaningful sale, but an acquisition of a new client. So again, look at the difference. Where you want to spend most of the time asking questions and understanding your client. So Vinish, if you can do me a favor, please just move to the next slide. Very simple. Nothing extraordinary, just some of those best business practices that I wanted to share with you. And what ends up happening is, if you look at the different aspects, what ends up happening if you decide to sell somebody versus if somebody buys from you, in the first pyramid, you look at the fact that because you're not spending a lot of time understanding your client, you fail to ask the right questions. Now, I understand that, for the most part, we actually know what the client needs, primarily, but you actually want to take the time to understand and identify the prospect key pain points. What is it that they're suffering from? You want to understand their needs and obviously their goals. Okay, so if you don't ask the right questions, you fail to identify this. Another key thing is that because you haven't asked the right questions, you fail to set proper expectations. Okay, because you don't know the end goal, you are going to you're going to sell them something that's not going to deliver that. I'll give you an example. I'm actually, as part of our IC partnership program, I'm working with a few ICs and helping them through the sales process. And we're working on a nutritional supplement company, and the owner, the founder of this company, actually has already developed a few brands in the past, so she has a lot of experience, and she's working with a few senior marketing people and close partners that are working with the IC and are kind of giving us guidance. And we were pretty much at the end of the road in our conversation with them, and all throughout this process, okay, the team, the representing team, so the client's marketing and operations directors, they kept telling us that the owner wanted to, at the end of our presentation, we needed to make sure that the owner felt that our goal was to sell, and our efforts were going to deliver sales, primarily sales online. Okay, now this supplement that they're selling it online, and they're selling it at retail stores. They have a few contracts in Canada where they're distributing nationwide. So for the past 3 weeks, as we were preparing for this big meeting with the founder, we've kind of tried to educate the director of marketing and also the operations director. The fact of the matter, or the finance director actually, so the guy who holds the money, because all he kept telling us, we want to see sales, 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 and we want to see sales online. And when you look at the internet space for nutritional products, people don't necessarily always buy online. If they're looking for a high-end product, they actually will research information online and will actually go to a retail store and purchase it. Right? That's just the nature of that business, and we kind of try to educate that to these two gentlemen that we're working with, and they kept coming back to us and saying, well, if you want to impress the owner, you have to make her believe that, you're going to be able to sell this product online. And we know that was the wrong path to go. So when we actually spoke to the client and made the final presentation, the client, the decision maker came back to us and said to us, the mandate is that 80% of the efforts should be that your team generates sales at the retail level and 20% sales online. So I understand that obviously my goal is to make sure that the retailers that we're working with feel the support and the advertising, that we're pushing our brand through the different mediums, and that's where 80% of the effort should be based. And 20% if we get sales because they can't go to the store, that's great. I mean, I want to see sales, but I understand what's happening. So it took us about 3 weeks to kind of get to this point. And if you look at this, if the right goals and needs would have been appropriately addressed and directed to the founder of this company, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we wouldn't have spent 4 weeks trying to go to the path of, how do we sell this product online. So again, the whole thing is that you fail to set proper expectations if you don't ask the right questions and if you don't get to the bottom of it. Because sometimes prospects will not give you the full details of where they want to go because they're hiding their cards. You got to dig deep. You got to dig deep. You got to peel the onion. I know that sometimes we get eager beaver for the sale, but if you don't peel the onion properly, you're going to make a lot of mistakes down the road. At the same time, you fail to qualify your client. If you skip all the questions and you don't qualify your client, you're just going to jump into the next stage and you're going to end up with a client that's not happy with you and you're not happy with them. Another key thing is customers today, they are very smart and intelligent, and apart from shopping from you, they're shopping around for other agencies. So the key thing is, when they see that you're not spending time with them, that you're not asking the right questions, they see that, it's the consultant's interest versus mine interest. So you fail to win the customers or the prospect's trust in this case. Okay, so that's very key. Okay, and also like I said, you may end up winning the sale, right? You may actually win the client, but you have buyer's remorse and customers fear being sold. No one likes to be sold. Whereas if you go into the right path, you're asking the right questions, you're doing a proper IBA, not a fast-track IBA or your own IBA. I've seen so many modifications of the IBA that it's hard to keep track, so everybody seems to have their own. But, if you have your own customized IBA, it's not wrong. It's just make sure that you have the right question, because it enables you to really understand your client's needs, understand that their pain and their goals. It allows you to qualify your client, because if the client is not willing and open to work with you, it's not open to new ideas, innovative marketing tactics, they don't want to listen or review or feedback, or provide feedback, then that's not your client. So if you just skip from asking questions to pitching to closing, you're not going to get that. You're also, if you actually do proper sales process, you're going to set the right expectations. You're going to win the customer's trust, right? Because the customer will realize, wow, this person's really asking a lot of questions, and based on he heard me and he actually told me that in the solutions process or in the pitching process, so he did, he's put his interest ahead of mine. Okay, so at the end of the day, the prospect feels empowered. How do they feel empowered? Because they gave you all the information, you've taken that information, you've actually tailored to their needs, and they feel like they've done the research. They feel like they've made a decision based on an educated decision based on research, right? So as a consultant, if you've done this properly, you've led them to the decision-making process on their own, and all you're doing is pretty much opening the door, and they'll come through, as opposed to you pushing them through the door, right? And one of the other key things that it always happens is that, if you've developed a great relationship with your prospect, they're excited to get started. There's no qualms, there's no buyer's remorse, there's no doubts. They really just want to get going. So that's the difference between selling and buying from a prospect's perspective. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm pretty sure you have heard this before. I'm pretty sure some of you are experts at this, but I wanted to share it also because it's always good to come back to basics. Vinish?
Great. Thanks, Armando. That was really good information there. There we are getting a couple of questions, so I am going to go into the question mode at this stage. Let me take these questions here. Give me one sec. All right, so the first question is with regards to great discussion, Armando. Can we get a copy of the standardized IBA that that is being put out? Absolutely. So I got your information here, so we'll definitely send you a copy of the IBA. No, not an issue at all. And Armando is correct. Over the years, we've seen so many different versions of the IBA. They've been shortened, condensed, elaborated on. There's one standard version of an IBA that you ideally should be using for your sales meetings. We definitely send a copy of that to you. The other question was with regards to HubSpot again. So yes, as mentioned, there's going to be a lot more information that's going to be coming out on HubSpot in the next couple of weeks. We have a meeting tomorrow. Just in the midst of finalizing our packages and the pricing, and then we'll formally be rolling out all of that. And most likely we'll be doing a special webinar with regards to the actual HubSpot offering that we'll have for the ICs. Great. I think that's all the questions for now. Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Great participation again today. Thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar this week, and have a terrific week, everyone. Thanks from myself and Armando. Take care.